think what's really important to understand about pretrial justice is that in many ways it's built on a quicksand of injustice. You can't separate pretrial justice from racial inequality and economic inequality and the many ways we criminalize poverty in our community. And so as we think about pretrial, it's not just, how are people through over-policing and through criminalization of poverty getting brought into this system, but also in the pretrial experience, how are we reinforcing and exacerbating the wealth gaps, the racial wealth gap, the gender wealth gap, and all of these things through bail, through charging people for phone calls, through really all of the ways in which we extract wealth and keep people incarcerated based on oftentimes underlying systems that were unfair to begin with. In partnership with our sheriff and our mayor and a lot of community groups and impacted people, is that San Francisco will become the first county to make all phone calls free from our county jail, and we'll also stop charging markups on commissary items. And just to make that real in terms of what that looks like, I've spoken with dozens and dozens of families and formerly incarcerated people who have told me about how a woman who was incarcerated, who couldn't call her child to say goodnight at night, who didn't find out that her father had passed away while she was in jail because she couldn't afford, and her family could not afford, the cost of phone calls. I've talked to people who couldn't afford toothpaste or flip-flops or basic needs items that you need to have dignity and respect. And it's wrong to be generating revenue in this way. And in fact, in San Francisco, as with every county in California, the money that is paid almost always by the loved one of the person who's inside doesn't actually always go to the vendor who's providing these things. More than half of the money that's generated goes to pay for the cost of the jail, for the city and county operations. And so not only are we funding the actual phone calls, but the people of the families of the people who are locked up are actually paying for the cost of the incarceration of their loved ones. And I'm proud to say that San Francisco is the first county that will no longer be doing this, and I'm hopeful that many other counties across the country will follow suit. I have seen over and over again the amazing difference a single voice can make. And so I would just encourage particularly people who have lived experience, who are impacted by these systems, to show up, to talk to your legislators about your experience, and to demand a place at the table because you deserve it. And just to give an example, last year we eliminated all of the fees that were charged to people exiting the criminal justice system, like electronic monitoring fees and probation fees. And the reason that happened is because one person brought in a physical copy of their bill, and it had the dozens of line items that they had been charged to cover the cost of their own incarceration. And when they brought that bill forward and asked what people were going to do about it, people were shocked. They didn't understand. And so having that one person and bring that one piece of paper has created this cascade of positive consequences where San Francisco has taken a stand, and then our neighboring counties have taken a stand, and now there's statewide legislation moving forward with a broad coalition of support. So never underestimate the impact that a single person can make, and please come to the table.